Hello everybody, welcome to the Gyrocopter Flying Club and part 12 of our History of the Gyroplane series. Don't forget to subscribe and add alerts so that you get involved with the project this month, which should be something different, interesting material, and also I'd like to start some more interactive films which are to answer questions you may have either on aviation history or gyroplane training techniques. So send in some questions, email or put them in the comments, and I'll get that fixed up the moment I have a few questions. The Air Command had gained enough traction early on that it really could have been the machine to have made flying gyroplanes popular. It failed, and this episode is the story why. In the US, frankly speaking, Dennis Fetters had messed up. Nothing to do with his aircraft at this point, but in terms of his business administration. To cut a long story short, he initially had the company seized by the government, and in subsequent years the entity that was manufacturing the aircraft changed hands several times over. The reputation of Fetters was certainly affected by these events, but the reputation of the aircraft was damaged largely by what happened in the UK. The Air Command story in the UK is one of those tales which if a film had been made about it, you'd question the credibility of the writer. But this is a true story. In the 1980s, Peter Davis was a microlight pilot and instructor who had also competed quite successfully in the Microlight World Championships. He was a very respected pilot and had done some test and development work with both the Phantom and Shadow microlight aircraft. During one Microlight's World Championship, he was made aware of the then new Air Command commander. Time passed, thoughts crystallised, and ultimately, in 1988, he acquired the UK franchise for Air Command and he based himself at Coventry Airport. In fact, the franchise had been a close-run thing between Davis and the main air microlight manufacturer. The aircraft were nicely marketed and well packaged to mean that the kit was made well and it assembled relatively easily. As we know, business was incredible, and in the first 18 months 60 kits had been sold. Sadly for Davis at the time, he was the only full-time instructor for gyroplanes, and his two-seat version was fundamentally flat out the entire time. There was a combination of high sales and impatient people wanting to get airborne who were just literally having a go with no instruction at all, or impatient people wanting to get further faster than they might have been prepared for. And, well, you can guess the rest. Except we don't need to guess, because by the time the UK had the Air Command commander, fatal accidents and the gyroplane were not exactly strangers. Not only did we have the experience from 1969-1970, but the 1970 accident wasn't formally reported upon until 1975. We also had a lot of specific experience from the USA with Air Command Commander, and that had shown that there were a significant number of fatal accidents. We seemed set for history to repeat itself, and just like that movie where the pretty young girl makes her way home alone when a murderer is on the loose and takes the shortcut via the alleyway, lonely wood or graveyard, everybody is now just shouting at the screen. There were 6 fatalities involving Air Command gyrocopters in less than 2 years, and finally the CAA pulled the plug, suspending permits to fly of all UK registered air commands on the 6th of March 1991, and they requested that the AAIB undertook a review of the accidents to identify a common cause. What was quite obvious was that majority of pilots were flying 532 elite versions and had very little time on gyroplanes at all. Indeed, when the AAIB recommendations finally came, it recommended that there was an approved syllabus for prospective gyroplane pilots that included training on dual-control gyroplanes. Oh, and this isn't the report from 1991. This is a picture of the AAIB's comments on training from the 1970 accident. As a footnote, the final part of the AAIB's recommendation was that the CAA explore the possibility to commission a program of research into aerodynamic and airworthiness characteristics of gyroplanes. It came some 17 years later, and what it said was the instability of air command gyrocopters were not dissimilar to unaugmented helicopters, and any pilot difficulty was likely to be due to either lack of experience, currency, or recency. Of course, it all came too late for the Air Command commander, and we were left with thinking what might have been.